Like, for instance, we don't say breathe, 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 heartbeat, 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 vision, vision, vision. It just, our body handles that without us thinking about it. And you have to sort of handle these things without your body thinking about it also.
Greetings, everyone. Come on in and have a seat up front to the Funny Muscle Podcast. If you're here, then you're looking to learn how to create laughs like a pro. So please help me welcome to the stage your co-host to help you do that, economics professor and open micer Chris Stifler and comedian turned author Mike Lucas.
Well, here's my question for you, my comedy coach, Mike. Now that I'm past the point in my career or dabbling with comedy that I don't need to just memorize 5 minutes. I have 15 minutes of some material that I can start concentrating on some better skills instead of just having to memorize my set and do my five. So I just kind of want to pick your brain about, what are next level stuff that comics do to up their game from just memorizing your five and doing it. Whether it's
Right.
reading the room or what's the upgrade in you're yodeling me or you're mentoring me. What's my next level?
Well, I'd say is to be more conscious of what's happening in your brain and what needs to be happening in your brain while you're joking. So while you're telling the joke, that's job one, but there's nine more things in addition to that that you need to focus on. Uh,
Exactly not. So you obviously did a listicle on this one.
yeah, I did a list that the top 10 things that your brain is doing, your comics brain is doing at once. And I think it's important. I said, I start off with one of my own jokes. I'm so skinny, I need to issue a formal apology to my skeleton for making it do all the work. To deliver that line right on stage in real time to a crowd full of strangers, my brain is doing at least 10 different things at once while I'm doing it. Hopefully, it's going to get a laugh, but if it doesn't get a laugh, it's probably doing 11 things, which is panicking the fuck out of the fact that it didn't do well. But a lot of people think saying funny stuff out loud is what stand-ups is, and that's like I said, that's like saying air traffic control is just talking to pilots. The truth is, a comic's brain mid-joke is juggling as a juggling act between memory, timing, crowd reading, and micro adjustments, all while pretending to be relaxed. So here's that list broken down into 10 things, which is a good question. It gives the more advanced comedian more to think about while they're doing their stand-up. Now, first of all, foremost, you have to get the joke out of your mouth into, I said, you have to get it out of the cake hole and into the ear holes in one clean, confident pass. If I botch the rhythm or stumble on a word, that punchline might as well be a balloon tied to a lawn chair, drifting off and never to return. So the idea, first of all, like job one is to get the joke out of your mouth. So you said that that's what you're starting to get good at. So you want more to do than just that.
We're past the point where you just have a memorized five and
Right.
you're very new to comedy. Now we're to the point where you're going to start picking up the extra cues and going to the
Right.
next
So
level.
so at any given point while you're telling your joke, you have to remember what the rest of the joke is. So you're remembering what you're saying, but you're also remembering for what's next. It's like you're like a chess player thinking three moves ahead, except your knight is always holding the mic and sweating. So that's sort of what you're having to do is you have to say to myself, here's where I'm at and here's where I'm going. And there's a constant stream of that going on. And if it's going smoothly, there's not a lot of uhs and you knows and but you knows. And so that's the second thing your brain is doing. The third thing your brain is doing is reading the audience's reaction. Start listening to what the audience is doing. A good comic doesn't just perform at an audience, they perform with the audience. So you watch their face, their body language, their energy. Are they laughing? Are they rolling their eyes? Are they staring blankly? I adjust my delivery mid-sentence based on that real-time data feed. So while I'm watching them and I'm adjusting how I'm presenting my material based on what their face and their reaction is doing.
Give me an example. So if you're seeing
Yeah, if I'm seeing them folding their arms in front of me and
cross
not
armed and kind of
laughing,
like leaning backwards, kind of like not engaged or like even like
yeah, that's where I do my joke. Elbow titties activate, form of a fourth wall between me and the comic. Doosh, doosh, doosh. And I poke fun of them for looking like they're a panel of judges. Then once I can get that out in the open, I can, and a lot of times I don't want to say anything about it. I just want to look at it. I want to go, oh, so far they're not buying this, or they're not acting like they're buying this. So I just have to, even if I don't want to say anything about it, I just take a note of it. So that's another thing my brain is doing. It's reading the audience's reaction. And then in that same vein, your fourth thing your brain is doing is you're ignoring it, although you're hearing them, all the distractions that are happening in the room. Glass clinks, a dropped fork, side chatter, the guy who whispers too loud thinking he's quiet. I can't let it hijack the set. Part of my brain is a bouncer deciding which sounds to let in and which to pretend never happened. And I think that's important because a lot of what's going on you should notice with part of your brain, but that doesn't give it permission to speak about it. It's just have it in there cocked and ready to go.
But this is so like again, this is like you have 20 minutes of material or you have a bunch of interchangeable bricks that you can like so if you get a really good response on the first ball interaction, you might have three or four ball jokes that you can then go to that aren't in your plan set list.
Right. And that's one of the steps in the future, which is choosing the next joke in real time. But we'll get to that. That
Okay.
one is step number 8. We're no, actually here it is. It's the next one. Contemplating whether to tag or move on. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, every joke is a fork in the road. Do I add another tag and milk the moment or move on before the laugh dies in my hands like a dying Tamagotchi? Is that how you
90s reference.
Tamagotchi?
Tamaguchi, one of those the
Tamagotchi.
things that you had to keep them alive when you were
Yeah,
in middle
those little,
school.
remember those? And if they died, it's like your pet died. But it's a live calculation based on crowd energy, set momentum, and sometimes just my mood, whether or not I'm in the mood to keep moving on ball jokes or if I want to move on to a different set. But that's another thing your brain is doing. Your brain, while you're telling a joke and remembering the next joke and ignoring and hearing distractions, you're also contemplating whether to tag or move on. So think about all those things your brain is doing already, and there's more to it than even that. Your number 6 is timing the punchline just right. So while all this is going on, you need to deliver your punchline. Comedy timing is a surgical skill disguised as a casual pause. Too quick, they get confused. Too long, the tension rots. I'm constantly calculating how long to hold that pause before dropping the punchline like it's hot, but not lukewarm. So that's a calculation your brain is making mid joke. So begin to focus on that. How do I get this joke out while I'm thinking about all these other things and ignoring all these other things?
You ever, so you've been doing this for so long, like, do you ever get to a point where like people say they call it an outside the body experience?
Yeah.
Like you're so good at your material, you're almost like you're watching yourself. Like, do you ever get to that phase?
Well, you have to get to that phase in order to do what I'm talking about. You have to get to the point where you're able to like get outside of the fact that you're speaking about your bit. You have to begin to get into that other head space, which is, like you said, where you're seeing your whole body down below you and you're watching yourself perform and you're contemplating all these other things and all these other parts. Like you're scanning number 7, scanning for callback opportunities. You're looking for ways that you can bring up things that you already made jokes about again so that you can get laughs based on that.
But this
I
is
mean,
like when you're in like that flow state and you're heightened, like
yeah,
but you also have to get the material has to be so good and prepared and memorized that you can get to that
that's job
space.
one. Job one is making sure the material is that. And then, like you said, once you get that down, you need something else to focus on or you get bored. So tell me you're going to get bored thinking of all these things. Number 8, choosing the next joke in real time. So that's another thing. You're going through a Rolodex of your material. And as you are finishing up your joke, you're figuring out what's coming next. Do I tag it or do I go on to the next joke? And if I go on to the next joke, which one is it? Which one fits with how I'm going? Is it the one I plan to do, or is there a better one to do now that I'm in the moment?
This is what I think is really the fun part is like the real time puzzle.
Right.
And then and layer that in the fact that you have a callback joke that will only work if you have done the initial joke first. But if you forget to do that joke in order,
It doesn't work anymore. And then another thing that's happening while you're telling your joke is you're managing the mic, the stage, and the lights. Think about that. You're not just verbally getting across your bit and mentally contemplating what's next and what you're ignoring in terms of distractions. But you're also managing the mic, the stage, and the lights. Where am I standing? Am I in the light? Is the mic too close or too far to my face? Is the cord wrapped around my ankle like a confused snake? All that subtle stagecraft gets managed by a tiny part of my brain I barely notice until it goes wrong, and then it becomes the major part of my brain. But that's another part of being a pro is you're managing all those moments. You're standing in the light. You're getting them sure the microphone is getting your voice well all at once.
It seems like overwhelming to a first,
Yeah.
young comic. Or
Oh yeah, it's a lot to think about. And that's why when you say the question is, I'm at a point where I've memorized my bits and I'm getting bored with basically doing my set. What else can I think about? It's like, oh, baby, there's so many other things to think about. You have 10 other things, including having off-topic thoughts anyway. While doing all the above, the first 9 steps, part of your brain still finds time to wander. Where's my drink? Is the woman at table 4 single? These above the bit thoughts are weirdly freeing, proof that I'm comfortable, locked in, and human, and in that zone where I'm observing myself.
does it take you a while to get there? Like, like in a
Oh
20
yeah,
minute set, like sometimes, like I feel like your brain then clicks into that like almost like superhuman flow state when you really got the crowd with you and you're really moving and you got high energy that you're like things can slow down and you can do all these 10
right.
things.
Well, you wouldn't do them all at once. You would maybe at an open mic, you would focus on one of them.
Hmm.
You would say,
It's a good
okay, for
practice.
this
Okay.
one, I'm gonna think about the mic and the stage and the lights, and I'm gonna give up my stuff. I'm gonna make sure that I'm in the proper lighting. I'm gonna make sure that they can hear me well. I'm gonna make sure that I'm my um what's that called? My blocking is interesting, where I'm not just standing there the whole time. So or the next time you can focus on, okay, I'm just going to think about my next joke. I'm just going to begin to think about what I'm going to do next and not worry about anything else and
I
just
don't think most open micers do that. They have a set list.
well, yeah, most open micers are working on the actual bits. But
Okay.
if you go to an open mic and you're like, I want to try my set the way I know I am going to do it, but I want to focus on something different than just doing my set. That's
Yeah.
where these things come into handy.
Okay. So that's like a drill we could adopt right away. So could you reshuffle? Like, it would be a good drill to reshuffle your bits just as your own kind of like,
In a way, it would be an interesting drill to do to just see how well you know your bits and
yeah.
just there's other better ways to present your material. But typically, your bits are in a certain order for a reason because they tell a story. So if you interrupt that story and make it confusing, it's tough for the audience to follow along.
That's something I'm getting better at. Cause like 2 years ago, I was just kind of planning 5 minutes as like a lecture. So it all was built off each other, like a logical, like economics lecture
Right.
PowerPoint slide. Whereas now I have some more shorter bits that I can just kind of a la carte move
Right.
around.
And then those bits can lead to anything. They're like variable bits. It's good. But that shows you're getting more advanced.
Yeah, I think I feel it. I saw a comic do, he basically had note cards. He had like 10 different bits he was working on, and he literally just handed the paper to the person in the front row. And once he finished a bit, he asked the person in the front row to pick a new bit.
Nice.
And then he just because he was just so good because he could just go interchangeable, and
Yeah,
they're
well,
so
it's just a different way
tight
to,
bricks.
yeah, a different way to get him to jump from brick to brick. Smart. That's a fun gag to do to get new material to be more interesting to people. It gives them a sense of they're in control of it.
Okay, what other how else could we operationalize this or put it in drill form for 2 year, a second year open micer?
Well, a lot of it is not conscious. A lot of it is you should be aware of it and then forget about it and let your body take over while you're in the flow state. I don't know about how you can execute these things. I always learned how to do them and then in retrospect observed my fact that I was doing them. So I don't know if it's possible to do it from like I'm a brand new comic. I'm going to learn how to have off-topic thoughts, or I'm going to learn how to ignore distractions, or I'm going to learn how to read the audience. That's sort of all stuff I have to learn how to do automatically by myself anyway. So I don't
So
know.
you're not saying like while you're driving, shuffle through your bits in your head. That's probably going to be a liability for
I do that anyways. That's I
a
I I'm guilty of that already. So if I wreck in front of you, it's probably because I'm adding a callback,
You're doing your Metamucil bit,
right?
but put in verse.
I did my Metamucil bit the other night and I forgot the word Metamucil. So I said, or pay $52 for something, put it in your
How'd you
purse.
recover?
I didn't. I just said I totally forgot that one up. I forgot the word Metamucil. Well, somebody who knew the jokes shouted it out. It's one of the other comics. It was crazy. So yeah, I don't know how you would begin to do this stuff on purpose. I think what's good to do is to be aware of the fact that your brain is going to be doing all these different things
As you
automatically
get
at
better.
any time. Like for instance, we don't say breathe, 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 heartbeat, 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 vision, vision, vision. It just our body handles that without us thinking about it. And you have to sort of handle these things without your body thinking about it also. But it's good to when you break it down, go, oh,
Be aware.
what is it called? My auto respiratory response or whatever makes me breathe automatically. And my heart beats no matter what. And my eyes work if they work at all automatically without me having
That's
to
a good
think,
metaphor.
you
So
know.
you have so many reps as a pro comedian that you're basically breathing, but your breathing is the
Yeah.
reading the eye contact, reading the body language, reading the even like I don't know, like subconscious energy in the room. Like you can, as a teacher, I can feel when you're not paying attention.
Right.
I can't articulate what my body sees, but I can
No.
tell.
I get we're not connecting.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a rough place to be. And I got to be honest, I took 10 years off and I started back again last August. You know what I mean? And so it's been a year since I've been back on stage. And so I forgot a lot of these things. My body doesn't do these things automatically anymore. I'm not breathing. I'm gasping up there because my body doesn't know to take a breath automatically. And so it's learning much quicker than most comics would learn because I've already learned this stuff. So I'm remembering. But still, it doesn't come automatically if you stop for a while, apparently. It sucks.
so I'm going to turn it toward like, because I have a lot of in class, in front of crowds, but I have the ability to be like, okay, I'm losing the crowd here. It's a 2 p.m. class and it's too hot. The air conditioner's not on. I can say, hey, I'm losing you. Let's take a break because I'm a 2 hour lecture. I can take a break, let's go get a bathroom break. Everyone refill their water, kind of like reload. But you can't do that mid set at a comedy club. So is there an equivalent? How do you like reload?
That's a lot of times that's why people do crowd work. They're reloading themselves into the audience and resetting themselves as a comic. So they'll slip crowd work in there to stop whatever energy was going and restart it in a way that connects with the group, with the crowd. That's one reason why they do crowd work. There's plenty of other reasons why you would do crowd work also.
That's one, at least you just change gears at least.
Yeah, it's a great way to change gears. Another way to do that would be to change bit topics, go in a different direction, cut a bit short and go somewhere else.
That's good. It's a good point. You don't have to like commit. You don't have to do the whole bit. It's just fine just to skip out and go somewhere else.
Yeah, like I did my bit last night about ululating, and
That's funny. It doesn't come over. I can't hear that.
oh, can you
It's
hear that?
funny. I can't hear it. No, your
Oh,
speaker doesn't pick up that sound.
it it sounds like a turkey.
Yeah.
You try it, you do it. Are you doing it with your tongue?
Yeah. Can you hear that?
No, it won't come over.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, no, 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 no.
Doody, 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 doody.
There. I can hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the guy who before me was Indian, and so I made it
Oh,
like he was making fun of white people. So I said something like I'm the white guy with the beard, because he said he was the brown guy with the beard. But I said give it up for him. And I said, I've never been able to date someone from his culture. I said, because of the, and then I couldn't think of the word ululating. So I just went, I just made the noise. And it came across, I thought, kind of racist. And I didn't bail on it though. I just finished the bit, but I finished it poorly. And I felt terrible. I felt like it's not, I realized to myself, I don't think Indians ululate. I think that's more Middle Eastern. So then I'm misassigning a cultural event to somebody but with my own ignorance. So it just came across so stupid. And it didn't do well. I stopped it and moved on.
I would assume though, if your brain is in that almost cortisol spiking kind of like judgment left brain, you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to do the above the bit uh, tools we're talking about because you're
No, you're not thinking about any of that stuff. You're realizing that your bit is being misunderstood by the crowd because the way you presented it was incorrect. I made a mistake and it made the crowd misunderstand what I was trying to do with that bit. I was making fun of myself for being not capable
ignorant.
of kind of being ignorant to the fact that somebody expresses their sorrow that way. And instead, it came across as if I'm making fun of the person for having their sorrow that way. And it's a
You
very
brought
fine
them
line.
down.
It's kind of like the thing I do about the speech impediments, about cartoons making that bad, difficult for people with speech impediments. But if I make fun of speech impediments, just period, it's punching down. So I have to make fun of the fact that cartoons are offensive.
It's a real subtle switch.
Yeah, but it makes all the difference in the world with if you're a victim of that situation. If you have a speech impediment, you're going to be like, yeah, cartoons are crazy.
We got sidetracked. What was the initial question we got that I asked that sparked the ululate?
We were just talking about the idea that you could, part of your brain can take a different pathway if you're thinking about it. But if you are bombing and it's going really ugly, it's hard to know what to do in that moment. You just basically want to bail.
So do you think if say let's just reward or order your five and you establish that you're low status, you punch down at yourself, you establish rapport with the crowd, and then you did that you ululate bit, you think it would have worked?
I think I wasn't ready to do the bit. I just did the bit on a spur of the moment, and so I didn't prepare for it in my head. So I think no matter when I did it, it wouldn't have worked because I didn't do it well. But had I prepared for it, I think I would have. Again, that's the problem with not doing 2 or 3 sets a week. You don't have time to get practice with all these different bits. Honestly, that's not a bit I want to really spend a lot of time on. It's funny, but it doesn't really serve me that well. I don't date anymore.
I always thought like you had to like playbook, like go to the tape and like consciously like analyze what you the 5 minutes that you did so you get better at it. But just even reps, like you subconsciously get better at.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I don't know how to describe that, but I know because I'm giving a ton of presentations on the big beautiful bill and how they impact Colorado's Medicaid, and I did three of those this week. But the third one, I was so more voluble. My tongue was just
Of course.
and I had more confidence. I had more energy. But I can't say that I consciously analyzed the first two sets, but I just knew just with reps, my brain was like
Yeah.
neuron firing better.
Well, your mouth knew what words to say and when because you had done it enough times and you knew how it flowed. Same with your set. You do enough you do enough reps with the bits and your set comes out smoother.
If you were breaking down my hour of comedy and just saying like, hey, warm up with a 20 pull-ups in your back workout, would that be a that could be your first 10 minutes of just, hey, just run your old bit that you know works. Run
Yeah.
your just to refresh it in your head.
Yeah. And that's where you run it while you're driving or while you're brushing your teeth or you're brushing your hair if you have hair. If
Brushing
you're
your
lucky enough, if you're
bald head.
while you're polishing your head for the rest of us.
Did we cover all 10? What were the other?
That was it. Yeah, we got all 10.
That was it.
Yeah, I said at the end, So when you see a comic on stage riffing with confidence, flowing through their act like it's easy, know that underneath we're juggling 10 flaming bowling pins while solving for X and scanning for bears. And when we land a joke, when the timing clicks, the callback slaps, the crowd pops, it feels like sticking the landing on a triple flip tightrope walk. All that just to say, I'm so skinny, my shadow looks photoshopped.
I didn't- Nice callback to the.
Right. I'm so skinny when I walk outside, I'm afraid a hawk's gonna snag me. Oh, another thing I wanted to talk about that's interesting, I think, is the difference between being nervous and being worried. I see a lot of these new comedians that are trying to do their showcase for the first time, and every one of them is scared shitless and they're freaked out about their own fear. And
Mm.
so I told them that there's a difference between being nervous and worried about your set. I said, we're all nervous because we don't know what's going to be happening. It's going to be going in a way that we're unfamiliar with. So we're going to be nervous about the fact that that's true. We're worried when we don't have a plan to do that. So you can't fix the fact that you're nervous about the upcoming event that you've never done before, but you can work on the fact that you're prepared for that moment. And that's what we do in our class for 8 weeks is we prepare for that 5 minute set. And so by the time they do the set, they're nervous, but they're not worried. So I wanted to make a just say something officially and have and run that by you and hear what you have to say about the fact that there's a difference between those two states of mind.
The big thing I took away from some of the reading I've done is that even pros get nervous. The
Yeah,
difference in the neurochemicals in their brain, a pro still gets nervous, but they understand and they harness it and they label that nervousness and they basically translate it into adrenaline, which makes them sharper and easier to get to a flow state. Whereas the non-pro, the amateur, feels that same nervousness and it translates to cortisol and that narrows their focus and they can't get in the flow state. So they're going to perform worse with all that cortisol in their body. So it's
good.
not the common misconception is pros don't get nervous. Everyone
Yeah,
gets nervous. Even the
everyone gets
best get
nervous.
nervous. It's basically how to harness it, to get to the
I like that.
adrenaline instead of the cortisol way. And
Yeah, I like
that was
that.
big that's an aha moment for me when I was reading because I read a lot about flow states and creativity and the neurochemical shit.
Yeah, and I think when you're in the moment, those nerves are so uncomfortable that you want them to be gone. And when they're not able to dissipate, you freak out and you don't know what to do with it. And that's why when a pro turns that into what you call cortisol,
Cortisol is the stress hormone, yeah.
yeah. When the pro
Or adrenaline's the good
like
pros turn it to
adrenaline
adrenaline.
and a bit of dopamine, I
Yeah.
bet. It becomes a positive thing. You crave for that excitement. It's why people climb mountains and jump out of planes. They like that feeling of being on the edge. What those people are, though, is they're prepared. They have done the work necessary to be ready for that moment. And that's why they're not worried. They're just nervous. They're nervous because they don't know how it's going to go, but they're not worried that it's going to go badly because they're unprepared.
I also will make a distinction between worry and concern, whereas worry is like a rocking chair, it doesn't get you anywhere,
It's like
whereas
guilt.
concern motivates you to action.
Yeah. Concern is what gets you prepared in the first place. You get worried from the very start and you say, what can I do to not worry so much? Well, I can write better jokes. Well, I can do some work in front of the mirror so that I make sure that I'm prepared and memorized. Well, I can go and do some open mics so that I'm not worried about an open mic. I can watch an open mic and just get used to the fact that this is how they go, and I'm not worried about not knowing that. So there's ways to settle your worry by doing action. Whereas the nerves, there's not a damn thing you can do to get rid of those nerves. You can only rechannel them.
I'll also add what was I reading this week? I was rereading Chris Voss's book on negotiation, but he's really big on what he calls labeling. When you label the fear, it actually negates a lot of like the negative boogeyman aspects of the like if you just say, "Hey, I'm feeling that my parasympathetic nervous system make my stomach upset or whatever, and my heart rate's racing." But there's no tiger in the room. Like you don't need to
Right.
jump to flight.
So therefore, I'm going to suck at this thing that's coming up.
Yeah.
You don't
And
have
if
to
you
think
label
about
like, hey, I'm a little my nerves are getting to me, but you label it, even say it out loud. Hey, I'm nervous. That's all right. Actually, labeling tends to actually mollify or soften
it. Well,
the negative.
yeah, and it allows you to do something about it. So if I'm feeling nervous and that my stomach is upset, I can take deep breaths. I can do stretches. I can do physical exercises that allow me to get rid of that adrenaline.
Ooh, and my first showcase, my very first level one, there was a buddy DeAndre, and he was super nervous. And so I said, let's do 20 push-ups. We did a set of 20 push-ups backstage just to get his like kind of like nervous energy out.
How do you feel after?
Good. And
Yeah.
he's like an athletic guy that works out a lot. So I think it's needed distraction as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and distracting yourself with a physical body movement is good. I just see a lot of new comedians get freaked out by it, and a lot of those nerves dissipate when you've done it more than once or twice or 5 times or 10 times or 20 times. You start to feel less nervous about the things that you felt nervous about in the beginning.
It's also like take advantage of your first time because you can never have another first time. You're gonna be, and it's gonna be not gonna be perfect, and it's gonna be story worthy some later on once you get over you can laugh at how bad you were.
Story worthy. Those I have a lot of moments that are story worthy. That's a good way to put it. That's a good negative to positive. All right, brother. Talk soon.
Good session. See ya.
See you.